All right, to the Trump supporters that watch my videos, let me demonstrate to you that you did not elect a leader, you elected the exact opposite. He is a weak man, and this video is going to be important because when the president of the United States is not acting like a leader in any capacity, I do think the onus falls on us to step up, to speak clearly, and to spread the truth. In this case, this situation right here is super important because not only have Trump, JD Vance, and the rest of their cabinet created space for Vladimir Putin to commit more and more war crimes, but they are now helping Putin whitewash these war crimes by calling them, quote, mistakes. It didn't mean to happen. For example, this title right here is disgusting. Horrible thing, mistake. Donald Trump says regarding Russia's strike on Ukraine's Sumy that killed 34 civilians and multiple children. So again, Trump calls Putin's intentional strike a mistake. And we'll dig into this more later, but not only has Trump paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine, he's paused weapons sharing with Ukraine, he's stopped the offensive intelligence gathering against Russia, and all of this has compounded to give Putin the space to make more and more territorial gains. And like, check this out. What kind of peace deal, what kind of person helps craft a peace deal that only leads to more and more destruction? For the art of the deal, dude, you really don't know how to deal with somebody like Vladimir Putin because right now, Putin has a monopoly on the escalatory rhetoric. Now, in 1 second, we'll watch this video of Trump because I found it disgusting, but let me talk to you about this monopoly on the rhetoric that Putin has right now. Over the past few years, as Putin has escalated and talked more and more about nukes and threatened us more and more, then Western countries haven't really responded in a super strong way, and Putin finds that to be weak. He thinks that that is even more weak. So he commits atrocities and he dares the rest of the world to speak up. And because leaders like Trump refuse to confront them head on, Russia gets to control the narrative, but not anymore. This says MERS signals Ukraine could use Taurus missiles to target Crimea and Kirk Bridge. France is also talking about going boots on the ground in Ukraine. The point is, when other countries show that they aren't afraid to escalate either, then Russia does not get to control the narrative that much. If we can break that monopoly and stop playing defense, then we start to set the tone throughout Europe and Russia. And yes, it is more risky, but is it really more risky than allowing Russia to constantly have a monopoly on this rhetoric? Russia constantly gets to threaten nukes and we just go, oh, I guess we should back down. They threaten nukes. No, Putin is bluffing. We fight back and we make sure that he does not get to control the narrative. Now, let's talk about Sumy because this is a devastating atrocity committed by Vladimir Putin, and the White House refuses to even speak up. So I'm about to show a little bit of a graphic image here on screen. This says breaking. On Palm Sunday, with hundreds walking to church, Russia struck the city center of Sumy, Ukraine with ballistic missiles. At least 34 dead, 2 children, and 100 injured, over 15 children. And the death count is still going up at the time I'm making this video. He says, I'm waiting on Christian MAGA to speak out against Putin. And the thing is, they didn't. So the White House released a statement where they very specifically left Russia out. They didn't place the blame on Russia. You know, the only person in the Trump admin to mention Russia was Marco Rubio, which we don't like Marco Rubio, but I know that deep down that guy hates Russia and supports Ukraine. So Marco Rubio is the only one to say that the United States extends our deepest condolences to the victims of the horrifying Russian missile attack on Sumy, but then other White House accounts, other cabinet officials left the word Russia out. So I found this to be interesting. Jake Bro said, wow, President Zelenskyy right now is thanking every world leader on Twitter who is showing their support for Ukraine after Russia's brutal missile attack on civilians in Sumy. He is doing this because Trump and JD Vance refuse to even condemn or comment on Russia's war crimes. They literally will not comment. Well, Trump did comment this morning, but his comment honestly made it worse. We'll get to that. But here's Zelenskyy going, thank you for your support to Macron. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. He then keeps going. Thank you for your support to the Swedish PM. He continues to say it. And keep in mind, Zelenskyy did this exact same thing a month or two back after JD Vance said that really rude line about, did you even say thank you? Now, Zelenskyy makes it a point to say thank you, but it's also kind of pointed because he excludes Trump and Vance because there's nothing to say thank you for. That's probably the point he's making. Why would I say thank you to the United States when they don't even express condolences? Yes, He has thanked the United States many, many times for the equipment that we've sent over there, but honestly, we benefited from that just as much as Ukraine benefited from that equipment. So, to go on to this main story of Trump calling this a horrible mistake, let's watch this clip and break it down. Make sure you drop a like to help boost this message.
And also, yes.
Do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack on Ukraine?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake.
What do you mean you were told they made a mistake? So Vladimir Putin told you that it was just an accident or a mistake? That's what I'm reading from this.
But I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power.
An abuse of power from who? Is he going to blame Biden or Putin? Let's take our bets. Is he going to spend the majority of this clip blaming Biden for the war or Putin for the war?
This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over.
Wait, this is just a small thing, but did he say billions?
Shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive.
Did he say billions?
Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. It's certainly very severely hurt. You know, the chapels, the churches, the spirals, all of the things that they had in Ukraine were among the most beautiful anywhere in the world. Most of them are knocked down and blown up into a million pieces. But most importantly, you have millions of people dead that shouldn't be dead. Think of it. Think of what a rigged election means.
What? Okay, so now he's talking about the rigged election. I didn't even hear him say the word Putin or Russia. Did he place any blame on Russia whatsoever? I didn't hear it at all. And here's the current prevailing theory on Trump and Putin's relationship. According to most foreign policy experts, most people who study narcissists, most psychologists, here's the relationship between Trump and Putin as most people see it that are studying it right now. And I really quickly want to say, I see your guys' emails. People always send me emails saying, Adam, you are so naive. Putin clearly has the P-tapes over Trump. How have you not known that the P-tapes are out there? Guys, every time I ask somebody to provide a source on that, there's no source. Please do not email me about conspiracy theories with P-tapes. Now, if you want to provide me a source in that email from Reuters or AP News or a CNN source, not just some weird Twitter account, please don't send me a tweet, then I will take that. But then people will allege that Putin is currently paying Trump something to the tune of $5 million a year. I've got an email saying that. If you're going to send me that email, please send me a source. Is there any source for this anywhere out there? The answer is no. So let me go back to this. The prevailing theory among most psychologists and most foreign policy experts is that Trump is a malignant narcissist. He is a malignant narcissist who is attracted to certain power structures. And as Vlad Vexler says, Putin is a source of narcissistic supply for Donald Trump. So when Donald Trump sees somebody like Putin or sees somebody like Xi Jinping, he gets narcissistic supply from them. He gets full of himself. He feels that he's important, that he is making moves on the global stage. And when Trump sees somebody like Zelenskyy, he feels that he can demean him. He feels that he can be mean to him because Zelenskyy is not in a position of power. I'm telling you what the theory is that's prevailing among most scholars right now. Now, if you want to go back to believing that there are P-tapes out there, that's fine, but maybe find a source online or find some sort of evidence, unless you are okay with admitting that you're believing a conspiracy theory, because the idea that Vladimir Putin is currently paying Trump $5 million via an ACH wire transfer on a monthly basis, that is a conspiracy theory, and that is a misreading of the situation. So if you think that I'm misreading the situation and that it's not actually about narcissism, but it's rather about P-tapes, I'd like to hear people demonstrate that, because I've gotten a lot of emails lately saying I'm incredibly naive, I don't understand that Trump is currently being paid off by Putin every single month. Listen, I'm open-minded. If you send me the ACH wire transfers that you guys have found between Trump and Putin, I will totally read them. But right now, I'm going to go with the narcissism theory. If you don't think Trump is a malignant narcissist, that's also fine. But just watch this clip. I mean, he goes and rants about Biden afterwards.
Think of what a rigged election means. We would have had, we wouldn't have had the war in Ukraine. We wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine situation. We wouldn't have had October 7th, Israel, the Middle East.
Honestly, this perfectly supports my argument. What does Trump care about the most? His own legacy. He wants to cement his legacy as the quote-unquote peacetime president. That's why he's constantly repeating, this war never would have happened. He's constantly saying the Biden administration started these wars. That's why he immediately tried to pressure Netanyahu into a peace deal. And honestly, if Trump could have it his way, I think he would want all of these wars to freeze just so his narcissistic ass could say that he paused the wars and that he got a big win. Now, in doing that, he doesn't care if Russia gets the better end of the stick, if Russia gets more land, or if Russia is in a position to reinvade in a few years. He effectively is pro-Russia at the end of the day, and he's acting as if he were a Russian agent, but I'm just gonna say, I do not believe he's a Russian agent. I think he's a narcissist who's incredibly naive. So Russia launched this missile strike. Trump whitewashes, completely sane washes what happened, and it's not diplomacy, it's weakness. Trump is sending a clear message to Moscow that you can kill as many civilians as you want and will let you call it a misfire. It's absolutely disgusting, and he's got to stop whitewashing Putin because he thinks Putin will do some sort of weird favor for him and sign a peace deal. Even Trump's own White House statement failed to name Russia, as I said earlier, and it was only after Secretary of State Marco Rubio stepped in that the word Russia even made it into the US government's vocabulary. That's not leadership, that is appeasement. So that is why we are stepping up. We are going to try to explain the ins and outs of this war, the ins and outs of this specific strike on a day-to-day basis. I've been making more and more Ukraine-related videos because as Trump and Putin try to control the narrative on it, I think it's equally as important for us to push back. And Zelenskyy knows this as well. Zelenskyy is also doing his job to control the narrative, and I'll leave it at that. Now, if you guys have a contention with what I said regarding Putin, the P-tapes, and his narcissism, please let me know in the comments and provide some sort of source if you're going to email something to me. There has to be a source, not a Twitter source, but just a source. I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure you subscribe. We are currently one of the fastest growing political channels on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.